Welcome to another episode of Groovy Tuesday. And just make sure I've got the microphone switched on. One of those mornings today. But you know what? It's time to get in the groove. So hopefully you found me on Facebook and YouTube, and we're all ready to have a groovy time. A little bit fresh down here this morning in Kent. Beautiful sunshine, really foggy driving in this morning. Good morning, Susan. There we go. People are coming in now. Stuart is in the room with you today. So if you have any questions or you're looking for anything, then I'm sure he'll point you in the right direction. And there's a lovely Jill and Easy Beady, Linda, Sue. There we go. That should be my text message from Stuart. And it says, sounds good. Thank you, Stuart. Okay, let's just sort the phone out. There we go. Pop that to one side. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Lorraine from rainy Estepona. Oh, well, it's nice and sunny here today, which is unusual. So we'll just give it a few minutes. I know I'm early to the party. I like to be early, rather be early than late. So, the lovely Jane Telford is in the room as well. Josie will hopefully be joining us later this morning. But the design team members are in the room. So if you have any questions, I'm sure they'll jump in as well. And yeah, we're carrying on with our easy Gridwork. It's amazing to see, just by breaking it down in the stages and by doing Facebook and YouTube Live and doing it in real time, I think it really does make a difference, because when we appear on Create and Craft, well, obviously we have to speed up at different points, because I can't imagine they'd let us pico cut for an hour. So at least with this, you can fast forward through all the waffle. You can just concentrate on bits that you want. And we have a whole back catalogue of tutorials and loads of information over on the Clarity Stamp YouTube page. So maybe if it's the first time of joining us today, welcome, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. But yeah, Stuart will pop the link up and for the YouTube page, and then you'll be able to go back at your own time and just have a look and see what we get up to here at Clarity Stamp. Because as Barb says, ever since I've known Barb, it's always been about the education, and we supply beautiful artwork and products, whether it be stamps, stencils, Groovi, dies, and then we give you the education to show you how you can get the most out of them. And one of the other ways we do really well with that is through our clubs, our craft clubs. Stuart can pop a link up to that. I know many of you tuning in today would already be craft club members, whether it be stamps, stencils, Groovi, dies, some of them, all of them. And I know you really enjoy receiving that envelope when it comes through the door every month. So welcome. There we go. So Stuart's popped the link up. The plate we're using today, we're continuing on with the lovely Queen Elizabeth plate. So I'll just have a slurp of coffee. I feel as if I'm talking too fast, so I shall slow it down nice and calmly, just like Groovi is. And give you a few more moments just to pull up a chair. There's plenty of room. Grab a tea or a coffee or a beverage of your choice. And I think what we'll do is we'll have a bit of a recap. And what I wanted to do was to showcase those lovely plates that we launched last week on Create and Craft. Linda's flower and lace. Oh. And Barb had a conversation with Linda on the way up to TV last week. And Linda has very kindly agreed to join us later over the next couple of months and show us all these fantastic colouring techniques. And I've got a few samples. Should we have a look at some samples that Linda created? Because I know I always feel bad when I do the TV. Linda and Lynn and the design team, they spend so much time and energy creating these beautiful pieces of artwork. and we only really get a chance just to show off small bits and pieces of it. So let's have a look here. So while everyone's coming in, so let's have a look at the coneflower. I love this. I love the square frame. So when you trace it out, when you get the plate, it's always a good idea to do that. And what you'll get, this is where there really is, it doesn't matter what level of parting you're at, because of the way Linda's designed the plates, you'll get a beautiful piece of artwork every single time. Okay, and tracing it out just like that, no skill required at all, really, because all you would do, you could just take a craft knife and then trim it down. Okay, but the magic of these particular plates, all of the flower and lace, is that you can exclude the floral design, trace out part of the frame, twist it round, and then you get a complete frame, you see. So it doesn't matter, look, you get a different look depending on what way you want to showcase it. So that's the lovely coneflower, and this is a piece of artwork that Linda created. Look at that. And lovely doodle dies in the background. Just show, and Barbara showed us how Linda recreated that butterfly using a couple of the plates. Really, really beautiful. And to me, the rainbow parchment really does bring them to life. Okay, so that's that one. So let me pop that one to one side. Let me see, where am I going to put those? Somewhere safe. Put those over there. Then the next one, oh no, I wanted to show you this one as well. I don't think we showed this one off. I can't remember now. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? Bring it in on this camera. It might be a bit, might be a bit close. But look at that. The detail and beauty, the beautiful color blending. And then using the basic grids to perforate in between. Really, really nice, but so simple. I love that. So that's still using the coneflower. Okay, then the next one I have is, I thought I put these in order. I think the little gremlins have been in. Right, okay, primrose. I love this one. I love the reef element to it, because this could be for any occasion. So we trace out the design. That's exactly how it comes. And then exclude the flowers and complete the reef. And it just lines up perfectly. So you just trace out to the edge of the flowers, reposition your parchment, line it back up, job done. Okay, so, and then I've got this beautiful piece of art. Look at this one. How fresh and vibrant is that? Doodle die. I think Miss Linda likes our doodle dies, don't you? But they do add that little finishing touch. Really, really nice. So that is the primrose. Then, so we're just showing off these just whilst we're waiting for everybody to come in and join. Hydrangea, I love this one. This is the plate traced out, exactly how it comes. Beautiful. And then remove the hydrangeas. And to me, that reminds, I mean, I can see, when we look on the overhead, I can see sort of this pattern, this star effect. And this was the piece that Linda created. And it's got a lovely little enchanted, what colour are they? They're the enchanted Delights Perga crystals, latest collection. I'm going to bring it on this one because I know, look at those. Look at the bling on that, isn't it? But it doesn't take away from the design at all, does it? Beautiful, really, really beautiful. So that is that one. We're going to pop that to one side. And then, oh, daffodil. Really like that. I've said that about all of them, haven't I? I really like all of them. I think daffodils, they're springing up on the roadside, in the gardens. Really, really nice. And this is very clever. So this is the plate traced out exactly how it comes. Okay, and remember this little magic one? If you didn't tune in, I'll show you what that little magic one does. So this is the, oh, look at that. See, this would be a great one for practicing your white work in those little beaded areas. And then we have this design. So this is taking the straight parts from this design and then infilling the rest of it with that one. Isn't it beautiful? Beautiful. And then for all you master parters out there or good with your snipping, look at that. Look at that. That's all I can say. And let me bring it in on this one. Woo, there we go. Should have zoomed out. I've left this camera zoomed in because when we do the picot cutting today, I want it to come in as close as possible. Now I can do this. It would take me some time and it would take me some patience, but I could definitely do this. If you'd asked me that 2 or 3 years ago, I would have said that all I would have ended up with would be the scallop bit in the middle. There would be bits missing. But that's what I love about the Groovi journey. Being able to get confident, feel confident, and then progress on what Barb calls that bus journey. Really, really nice. And here, this is what I wanted to show you, this one. So this is a piece that Linda created. Look. Doodle dies again in the background. Isn't that very subtle, but beautiful? Lovely colouring with the rainbow parchment. And then this is another piece that Linda created. Look at the colouring. And this is the type of thing that Linda will be showing us over the next few months, the different colouring techniques. Now, I'm guessing the white is that shadow embossing that we've been learning with Linda. And then this, it really does look like porcelain. Porcelain, 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 potato, potato. Let me bring, I've got to bring this one in close up so you can really appreciate. Look at that. You just want to reach in and pluck them off of the design. Look. Wow. Absolutely amazing. And it is achievable. Yeah, Linda's been doing it for many, many years. But with Linda's guidance, you'll be able to replicate or come up with your own different ideas of colouring and everything else. We're here to hold your hand, give you those hints and tips and guide you along that groovy bus journey. So let's pop these to one side now. Okay. Isn't that beautiful? Maybe next, what am I doing? Where are we next week? Yeah, I'm here next week. Yeah. Maybe next week I'll get some of the samples out from the design team as well. They've all been packed away now. I should have thought about it before, because we could have used that as like an interlude. Because I know many of you at home have ordered those plates, and they'll be winging their way to you very, very soon. So are we good to go for a bit of a recap on what we're going to do today? Right. Okay. Oh, question from Alison. What will Linda be using to teach us the colouring? Okay, so Linda's going to be showing us the, I think this is right, Linda. I'm sure she will let me know if I'm wrong, but I'm sure this is okay. We'll be using pergolina pencils. We will be using Pergocolour pens. We'll be using Dorso crayons. We will be using artistry ink pads. Yeah, who'd have thought? Ink pads to colour in on the back of parchment. And I'm sure Linda will also be showcasing the lovely polychromo pencils as well. So it doesn't matter whatever type of medium you have in relation to, even if you haven't got the pergolina pencils, we have them in the box where you get the watercolour and the B pencils, and we also have them available singly. So if you, like me, I mean, mine are over there, but I know some of mine and some of Linda's are starting to run out. So you can always buy them individually as well. So if you've lost one, or you think, oh, I need to top up on a particular colour, then we do have them available individually on the website as well. So Distressing. Oh, there we go. I knew Linda. Distress inks as well. Thank you, Linda. I just caught that. So any sort of dye-based ink pads, really, whether it be the Distress or the Artistry, because they're the same. Right, I need to pay attention now. Linda's in the room watching. Okay. Right. So should we have a bit of a recap? Are we all ready? Are we good to go? Okay. So over the past couple of weeks, we have been looking at the Queen Elizabeth Duet plate, the lace Duet. The brighter part, we're looking at the front of the plate. The brighter part of the plate is the embossing area, and the lighter area is where they've been drilled. Okay, so they've been drilled all the way through to allow us to do the perforating. Okay, so and then when we turn it over, what we did was we worked with the embossing first, then we turned the plate and our parchment over, and then we perforated in between the design. Now, what we started off with was we decided on what size our piece of artwork was going to be. Okay, so and just by chance, this little Pico rectangle was perfect, but I showed how you could, if you wanted to, you could extend it, or maybe you wanted to go this way. I mean, on this particular plate, the design is the same in both directions. But when we start to look at diagonal grids, let me just bring in this plate here. Let's bring in, where's that gone? Hang on. Dum, dum, dum. Let's have a look. Where is it? I want a diagonal grid. Here we go. Let's bring one of the French cities in. So you can see, although it has the same design, the design is different. Okay. So if you go that way, because of the way in which the diagonal grids are laid out, it says what it does. They're diagonal, so all of the dots are offset. So you can't have, you've got to have two different patterns, but the same, if that sort of makes sense. Does it make sense? Yeah, it does. So, and this is one of our A4 square, and we've been working with an A5 square, and this fits perfectly in the starter kit PlateMate. Okay, so let's pop that to one side. So if I bring my piece of artwork in, okay, we can see now. Let me zoom in now. Now we can do some zooming in. Okay. Dum, dum, dum. So don't, oh, couldn't reach then. So then we're going to zoom in. There we go. I'm going to come in slowly, so it's not too. But isn't that beautiful? Even if at this point on your bus journey, on your Groovi bus journey, then you're not into your Pico cutting, you don't have to. Let me bring it in on this camera so we can really see. Look, that looks beautiful in its own right. Just the embossing and the perforating. Okay. Now also Jane's just prompted me, I've just seen one of the comments on there. Every Sunday over on the Clarity Matters blog, so Stuart will put the link in, it's claritymattersblog.com. I think it's Clarity Matters blog, or is it claritymatters.com? I think it might be claritymattersblog.com, but Stuart will confirm that, he'll put the link up. Every Sunday at 12 midday, there is always a step-by-step tutorial from the amazing design team. So it's always themed against what we're looking at in Groovi Tuesday or in the Pergamano school. So when Linda was working with the multi-needle tools, then the lovely Glynis created beautiful little pieces of artwork to show, there we go, claritymattersblog.com. Thank you, Stuart. Glynis did these lovely little tag projects using the multi-needle tools, so that Linda showed us how to use them, and then Glynis showed us how to put them into practice on a finished piece of artwork. And this month, the lovely Josie has been doing various different grids. So I think on Sunday just gone was one of the circular grids. The week before, can't remember what that one was. I can just about remember Sunday, and we're only Tuesday. But just every Sunday at 12 o'clock, sign up to our newsletter because you get notified when it goes live. and you can check it out. And it's a full library of tutorials created by the amazing design. I mean, it just blows me away when I see what they've done with it. And Jane and Glynis have also recently done some, which will come up probably next month, using some of Linda's flowers and lace plates. Beautiful projects, beautiful. Okay, there we go. Jane says, thank you, Jane. Look, it's nice to have all these lovely people in. The week before was the St. James's grid, that's right. So I can't remember what the week coming. I haven't looked at Sunday's vlog yet. The lovely Grace puts it all together. She liaises with the design team, and then I just go in and just make sure it all makes sense and pop the links in. And so, sorry, I digress slightly, but it's important just to share that if you are new to us here at Groovy Tuesday. So you can see here we've created our frame, and that lovely little rectangle fits perfectly in the middle. Now, me personally, I would always do my artwork on a separate piece of paper, because what I wouldn't want to do is to have spent all that time doing that, do a piece of artwork in the middle, and then I don't like it. Okay, so it's all, for me, it's always a good idea to do it on a separate piece. I mean, if you make a mistake in the middle, you can always take another piece of parchment and pop it over the top with a piece of paper behind it, and then you'd hide it anyway. So sometimes it's nice just to have some toppers just on the go. So you could have some that says, where's that gone? What is it? You always, there we go. Look. You could just have happy birthday. So you could have a series of these done, whether you do it on clear parchment or whether you do it on rainbow parchment, designer parchment, then you've got those good to go. And that fits perfect. Happy birthday indeed. So that'd be happy birthday. Oh, look, if I'd known I could have done this for Barb's card on Sunday, just gone. Hey, there's always next year. 64 next year. There you go. Maybe I'll put a 64 up there. Maybe I'll get ahead of myself. But for me personally, I think it's a good idea to do it on a separate piece. And what I did was, remember we launched the Make Art Not War. We've got them in the stamps and we've got them in the Groovi plate, haven't we? And I said last week that beautiful sunflower was the perfect size for that. Well, what I did was I took the same piece and I traced out the Make Art Not War. Let's pop the stamps to one side. And then I used a border across the top just to infill. Okay, so that's I think that's a really fitting piece for my frame that I've created. And if we have time today, we'll have a look at colouring that in. Just very basic. I'm not going to get into the levels of colouring that Linda's going to show us. I will keep it really sort of, I mean, Linda will keep it simple, but it won't look as hand painted. Let's put it that way. Okay. So maybe if time allows, we'll have a look at the colouring in of that. Otherwise, we can do that next week, can't we? Okay. So let's have a look at what we're going to do now. Now, when we were tracing out, let me come in on this camera. And where am I going? This part. We traced the groovy elements out of the actual design with our number 2 tool. And what that does, it gives us a softer line so that when we come to add white work, it will look more natural. If I bring in one of Linda's pieces where she's done her white work, you can see there's no harsh outside line. It just sort of fades into the actual teardrop itself. Okay. So what we're going to do first is we'll complete our white work. Before we do any picot cutting, we'll do some white work. Now you have choices. You've got the black mat that comes in the starter kit, which is hard on one side and soft on the other. And I'm just trying to find where I've put my A4 black mat. So I shall carry on talking and looking whilst I do that. It'll be here somewhere. I know it will. I'm just walking around the room and I should have had this to hand. But oh, I know where it is. I've left it up at the studio. But you know what? I've got a blue one here. This one will be just as good, just to show you the difference. Okay. Right. So imagine this is black, but it's our blue cutting mat, which we also have available. And when we come to do the white work, we're working on the back now, so it feels all scratchy. Now I'm going to use, in the starter kit, you've got the number 1, number 2, number 3, and number 4. I'm going to use the number 3 because that will really get into those areas. And I want my Groovi guard to lean on, just to not protect my hand, but it just stops the scratchiness. And all I'm going to do on the circles, it's an up and down, left and right, round and round. Now I have to be careful with the pressure that I'm applying, okay, because now I don't have a safety net. The Groovi plates are my safety net for tracing out my design. Okay, so I just need to be wary that I don't go on too heavy. Now, if you're worried, say you've got the black kit for the black kit, if you have the black mat from the starter kit and you're worried about that, then all you need to do is take a poly bag that your plates come in, pop that underneath, and what happens is it acts as like a resist. So it allows you to apply the pressure, but it also stops you putting too much on going through the parchment. Okay, so I'm going to gently tease the parchment, and you'll note for me personally, can we see this okay? If I come in on this one, right, where am I going to go? I'm going to go over this way. I'm going to come down here. There we go. And what I'm doing, this is the number 3 tool, and I'm just gently stroking the parchment. Okay, and I'm just filling in the designs that we've traced out. Okay, so we need to do our white work now before we do any perforating. Okay, because the pressure we're applying here, not perforate, any pico cutting, because if we start to open up the design, it's going to weaken the parchment. So if I turn this over now, and we can start to see how it's starting to go white. But this is just the base coat first. We're going to go around this several times. Now, what I'm also going to do is, look, I'm still working on this big A4 piece of parchment, but I know now it's big enough for my design. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to trim off the excess because I'm worried that I'm going to catch the excess parchment. So let's trim that down to a more suitable size. Okay, that's nice. That's much better. I was worried about ripping it then. Don't want to do that. Okay, should I zoom out a little bit? What do you reckon? I think that works quite well there. So working on the back, using the number 3 tool, and then we're just going to gently tease parchment. Now, if you want to, if you don't want to do any white work, you could have traced this out with the number 1 tool to get a really nice, prominent, crisp white line, and you could colour in on the back. You could use pencils, you could use the Perga colour pens, just to add a little bit of colour to the design. So remember, up, down, left, right, round and round. Up, down, left, right, round and round. What I'm also going to do is I'm going to put a Groovi tab here to show this is where I've started. So when I go all the way round and I come back, I know I've done one layer of white work. Okay. So where am I? I'm going this way. Groovi guard again. Are you doing this as well, or have you already done your white work? Yeah. You know what it's all about, sort of just being nice and chilled. And this is white work at its simplest, it really is. And these little areas are great for practicing. Now, if it's the first time of giving white work a go, just trace out these parts from the plate onto a scrap piece of parchment. Okay, trace it out and have a play. Learn to get the right sort of pressure, whether you need to go more heavy, whether you need to go lighter, and just enjoy it. See, I'm quite confident because I've been doing white work like this in small areas for a while. I'm quite happy just to go straight into my work. But when it comes to the picot cutting, we're going to have a little warm-up exercise. So let's turn this around. So we can see now how it's sort of starting to, if I take that away, see how we're starting to build up that white work. It looks rubbish. I'm going to bring it on the close-up camera so you can see how rubbish it looks, because it's only the base. It doesn't matter if I've missed little bits and pieces, because we're going to go back in afterwards, because by the time we've gone all the way around the outside, for me, for these little areas, there's enough time for it to rest. Now, if you are like me, you are heavy-handed, you are impatient. Yep, I am. I want this white straight away. So you, depending on what you want to do, you could, I'm going to say it, and I know Linda will be shouting at the screen, you could take a white pencil and colour it in. You won't get the raised effect, but you'll get the whiteness. Okay, so that is an option. If you think, oh no, I don't want to do any white work, try it on a scrap. But if you're still not happy, then you could colour it with white. I'm just looking for any comments from Linda. She's not shouting at me. Oh, that's good. It's either that or she's switched off, or she's still shaking her head in disbelief that I've just said that. But the other option for me, I've got two, I say it all the time, I've got two best friends when it comes to parchment equipment. One is the plate mate from the starter kit, and two is the pink mat. Okay, so let's bring my pink mat into play. And this gives me a little bit more control. So pop that to one side. Use my Groovi guard. And then, see, I can feel the difference already. But it is entirely up to you what you feel more comfortable with. If you're just starting out, then the black mat will definitely do. Oh, there's Linda. I have no problems with a white pencil. Phew, thank goodness for that. There we go. The master tutor number 2, or just only two Pergamano master tutors in the world, and she's given me the okay on a white pencil. Oh, how lucky do I feel? Thank you, Linda. So, see, this is why we have these experts in the building. And they will correct anything that I say wrong, which is good because I don't know everything. I don't know everything. I'm only here as a voice, as a teacher, and everything I know that I'm showcasing is only what I've learned from Barbara, from Linda, from Josie, from Tina Cox, from all the different design team members, because I watch and I look at what they've done, and then I'll ask questions. I'm fortunate that I can ring up Linda and Josie and say, right, how do I do this? How do I do that? And I mean, obviously we have Groovi Worldwide, where you can ask questions. But yeah, I'll send you some chocolates, Linda. So we're just going to go around, and you can see it doesn't take long to do. But as I say, this is just the undercoat or the underlay. Imagine you're painting a wall and you're putting an undercoat on first. And then we're going to go around and put another layer on top. You see? But I definitely feel more confident with the pink matte. I suppose it's like when I do my die cutting, I know my machine. I know where my pressure points are, where it has its weak spots. So when I'm die cutting, I know where to position my die. And for me, the pink matte really does, I know my pink matte, so I know by using it, the result I'm going to get. Okay. So let's turn this over now, and we can have a look. If I bring the black matte into play, if I bring in, look, so we can see some are a little whiter than others. Where am I going? Over here. So there we go. So some of those are a little whiter than others. Some of them have got little black areas, but I'm not worried because I'm going to go back in now and repeat the process. Okay. Now, Jane. I can see your comments. I've got to buy some chocolates now, haven't I? Oh, dear. See, crafting for me, it's all about fun. It's all about sharing. I don't feel any pressure doing what I'm doing. I suppose because I've got the right tools, I've got the right designs, I've got the right equipment, I've got the right experts in the room pointing me in the right direction. And I enjoy it. I really, really do enjoy it. For me, the Groovi is just a real nice way of creating beautiful artwork with ease. And over the coming months, Linda's going to be showing colouring techniques. Barbara will be joining us, giving us her hints and tips on different things, the way in which she does things, because we all do things differently. And so you're going to get a real spectrum of tuition. And on the middle Thursday of every month on Create and Craft, we've got the Pergamano shows. And what Barbara wants to do is that over the course of the rest of this year, starting next month, it's sort of really taking it back to basics. And so like each session or each 2 hours, 11 o'clock and 3 o'clock, they'll be concentrating on different techniques, whether it be colouring one month, white work another month. And then you can watch them. Obviously, we've been working with some beautiful designs. I'm on this Thursday at 11 and 3, and I've got the beautiful Floral Friend rounds illustrated by Mel. And I thought these were perfect for really quick and easy cards. So Create and Craft, if the website's all working, everything, this Thursday at 11 and 3. And then starting next month, Barb's going to put a plan together for the rest of the year, and it's going to be full of education, hints, tips, excuse me, all different things. And it's not, I wouldn't call it a masterclass. A masterclass often reminds me that it's up there. These are tuition. They're all free, and you can be whatever level you're at with your Groovi, with your parting, whether you're been doing it traditionally for many, many years, and maybe you just need a refresher. Techniques change over the years. I mean, I remember when we come to do the Pico cutting, on how the Pergamano tutors were told they had to hold their scissors. Now you can hold them whatever way you feel comfortable with. There's no rules to say you've got to do this. There's procedures on the process, but there's no rules. Barb's never been about rules. It's always been about showing it, breaking it down, and just making it easier. So, right, that's enough waffle for that to have rested a bit. So let's have a look. So now we're going to go back in. I'm going to stay with the number 3 tool, and I'm going to start here again because I've got my Groovi tab to show me where I started. And then we're going to apply the same sort of pressure just to add that next level of whiteness. Okay, now you do need to be careful that you don't go in too heavy, because it will end up, as Linda says, looking like cotton wool. Where's my glasses gone? Let's have a look. Oh, that's better. So now I can see where those grey areas are. Here I see where I've missed a bit. Probably helps if you put your glasses on to start with. But I'm going to do this little bit here, and then I'll turn it over, and you'll see the difference. Let's bring that black mat into play. I mean, I can see it on the overhead already where I've stopped at that point. If I turn that over, can we see? Yeah, I can really see that. So now, when am I going to go on here? So it's, woo, there we go. Can you see the difference where we're starting to put the next layer down? So it's really, really patchy over here, but now it's becoming whiter. Okay. Right. So we're going to go back. We'll go back onto the overhead. Groovi Guard really helps with the perforating, with the scratchiness. And I'm not leaning. I mean, it's not going to damage the perforating. Far from it. And we're just going to slowly build up. But the Groovi tab, or just marking the parchment with a white pencil to show where you started, really does help. Especially if you're picking it up and putting it down at different times of the day or the week, because you haven't got to complete this all in one go. And if you've got several of them on the go at the same time, then you can put one to one side. I mean, you can even like put a tally. So I've done one layer, I can mark there one layer. So I'm now on my second layer. So you could do that as well. So you know how many layers you've applied. So okay, I'm going to ask Linda now. Linda, how many layers of white work would you do within these small areas? Let's see what Linda would do. Yeah, I'm not even going to guess. A question there from Claire. You do white work on the back with colouring and perforating on the front. Is that right? That is correct. Yes. Oh, 2. Thank you, Linda. 2. So these small areas here, Linda would suggest doing 2 levels of white work. Let's turn it around. There we go. So we can start to build up. But this is a great way of practicing your white work. Learning that pressure really is. Because it's such a small area, for me, it's more forgiving. Obviously, the smaller area, the smaller the ball tool. So the smaller the ball tool, the more likely more likely you are to go through the parchment. So you mustn't go too hard, but you can get white work quite quickly and easily. Easily. Yeah, that's the word. It did sound right then. Okay. Up and down, left and right, round and round. Got a bit of a donut on that one. Don't think of it, but I can correct that in a minute. So we're going to go around. So we've got, let's bring this in now on the overhead. Excuse me. So we've applied our white work. This is our second layer along here. And we can see this one is now sort of pushed into the background, isn't it? What's that? What's Pat saying? Paul, please stop making Linda sound so old. Most of us oldies had another career before parchment took over. Then off we went at a tangent, learning, teaching, etc. What a journey. I don't know. It's not an age thing. It's just experience, isn't it? I mean, it just depends how long you've been doing something. I mean, somebody, say in their 30s, can have just as much experience as someone in their 60s and 70s. It just depends how many hours you put into it. I don't see it. It's really weird. I don't really see people with an age, if that sort of makes sense. I don't. Yeah, it's strange. Maybe because I don't see myself as being as old as what I am. I don't know. I'm terrible at guessing people's ages. Don't ever ask me to guess how old I think you may be, because I'm likely, yeah, I think it's strange, isn't it? I think over the years, maybe when I was younger, but I think now, as I age myself, I mean, we all age every day, don't we? I think now I don't see people as an age. I just see people. But I'm rubbish at guessing. I either go way too young, which I suppose is good. It's like, it's better to be early than it is to be late. I either go younger or I go way over the top and say older. But it's just different ways of looking at things, isn't it? Okay, so now we're on the final straw, our final bend on this one. Okay. But this, for me, this is just as soothing as the tracing out of the design, especially in small areas like this. It really is. See? And then if I wanted to, I'm not going to, if I still wasn't happy, I mean, I'm doing this a lot more quickly than I should be, because ideally we would let it rest for a little bit longer. But to get the effect that we want, I think there's enough time lapsed in between the layers. And at the end of the day, this is, we're playing really, aren't we? And if we end up with a beautiful piece of artwork at the end, then great. And if we don't, we keep it and we learn from it. Okay. So that is now, I'm back to my Groovi tab. See, that's nice. That's my white work. And it doesn't look much different to the white embossed dots. Dots are a little whiter, but in the scheme of things, who's going to say that dot's brighter than that, or it's the overall effect that we're aiming for. Okay. I can't believe Is it really that time already? I don't want to push. Wow. Why is that time gone? Next week, we're going to do the pico cutting. I don't want to start the pico cutting with, oh, can I? Shall I? Let's talk about tools. Okay. Let's talk about tools. And we're going to do a practice. We're not going to do our actual piece until next week. Okay. We're going to do some warming up. We're warming up today for next week. No, we'll do a warm up next week as well, just as a recap. But I'm not doing, yeah, okay, I've answered my own question. It's great when you talk to yourself and you get the right answer, isn't it? Okay. So what we're going to do is take, let's have a look. I've got a scrap of parchment. Remember that piece that I took off from the A4? And what I'm going to do, let's give it a wipe with the tumble dry sheet. So I'm going to wipe on this side. And I'm going to wipe on the reverse. Wow, that time. Blimey. Didn't realise I could waffle so much for an hour. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my number 1 tool and I'm going to trace a straight line. I need a solid line to work against. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is I'm now going to turn my plate over. So it says perforate this side up. I'm going to turn my parchment over. I need my plate mate. I'm going to turn, there's my plate mate. Oh look, there's loads of lines on this I could have used as well. This is great, plate mate for grids. Okay, right, I'm going to line up the straight line with the perforations on top. Okay, and I want some Groovi tabs. I've got loads of them lying around here somewhere. Take that down there. Take that down there. And have I hidden? No, there's the Groovi guard. I'm going to take my Groovi guard. And on this particular grid, there is a straight row of dots. That's coming on this one. And we're going down, left. There we go. Using my 1 needle bold, glasses on. I'm just going to perforate the straight line. Okay. And this is my warm-up. This is my practice piece. And then what we're going to do, we're going to have a look at the 3 different types of snips, scissors, squizzers, squeezers, perg cutters, just so that you can see the difference. Okay, and then we're going to practice along this row. But I don't want to cut into my piece of artwork. And there's me thinking, oh yeah, we can do some colouring today. That can wait for another day. Okay, so we're just going to do a nice row. See, this is great because you've got the bold needle tool, you've got the grid. There's no way that I would try and perforate, even with a 2 needle tool, along that straight line. I would definitely use a grid. Definitely. Okay, so if you've got the basic grids, then you could use that to do that. Okay, so we now have, get rid of that, get rid of that, a row of perforations. Okay, our artwork is here. Let me just, where's that pen gone? There is a pen. Let's move back up again. So this is my edge that I want to cut away, and this is my artwork in the middle. Okay, so imagine our artwork's there, and this is the edge that we want to cut away. Okay, so then what we're going to do, we're going to have a look at the 3 different types of implements. So we have our exclusives, we have our perga cutters, and then we have our ring lock. Now what you'll notice on all three of these pairs is that they have super fine, let's see if I can come in on, right, where am I going on this one? That way, and that way. There we go, middle of the screen. So they all have super fine points on the end of each of them. Okay, and that is key to using them. Okay, look at the points on that, because when we're doing our picot cutting, the only part we're interested in is literally the tips of those scissors. That's all we're not cutting like a normal pair of scissors. So the tips are really key to them. Okay. Now it all comes down to personal choice on which weapons of choice we go for. When I first started, because I didn't know about these two, Barbara and myself went with the exclusive scissors, and Barbara still sticks by the exclusives. So they are the cheaper option. So if you're looking to start out for your picot cutting, then that's a good pair to get going with. So I can use them well, but I can't use them for long periods of time now because my fingers are chunky. Okay, so they feel uncomfortable whilst I'm working. So if I was going to do my grid work, then I could do it, but I'd have to keep putting it down and coming back to it. So that's the exclusives. Then I found out about the perga cutters, and these are great. So if you do have dexterity problems, then it's a case of just squeezing. It takes a bit of getting used to because it's sort of like the reverse action, because you push in to cut, whereas on scissors you push in to cut as well, but it's a weird thing. So that took me, but I found that they were more comfortable to hold in my hand. Okay, and it was just a case of squeeze, 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 squeeze. Okay, you've got a little bar there just to stop you squeezing too. I mean, you can't squeeze too far because, I mean, look at the point on those scissors. Okay, and then the ones I tend to use the most are the ring lock, and you can see they have a larger aperture for your fingers. So for me, they're the most comfortable to work with. Okay, I'm fortunate I can try all three before I do what I'm doing. Then there's the case of how do you hold the scissors? So if I take, I mean, these ones, I tend to hold like that. Okay, so maybe if I cut, will I get it better on? No, I don't fit over. Maybe on the overhead. That's not the overhead. Because I get compliments on the camera work and then I press the wrong button. So I find if I'm holding them like this, they're comfortable. Okay, and the only part of my hand that's moving is this finger, really. Okay. Then you've got the exclusives and the ring locks. Now, when we first learned how to use these, we didn't know Linda or any of the parting experts back then. And we went online, we watched YouTube to see how snipping was done. And the idea was that you took these two fingers and you popped them in, and then you held them like that with the point going down. See, because all of the scissors have got a really nice curve to them. If I hold them all on the side profile, so you've got the exclusives, see they point like that. Then you've got the perga cutters, a real nice curve. They need to have a curve, okay? And then you've got the ring lock. So back in the day, we was told fingers in from the top, curve going down. You went in, down, as low as you could go, twist and snip. Okay, so when I was doing it, when I first learned it, it was like I was holding it in my hand. That's how I first learned how to do it, because I could feel how far the scissors were going in. And so like this arm was like in, down, twist, in. And this arm, I had no bingo wings on this arm, I can tell you. This is where I suppose if you're ambidextrous, you could balance out your bingo wings. But my arm, this was going like that. I'm thinking, oh, maybe. So it felt uncomfortable. And then I found by holding it flat, my work on the mat, it was a lot easier. My arm wasn't up and down so much. But then watching other experts do it, like Linda Glynis, I mean, Glynis is queen of the snip clinic. They all hold them differently. So what I now find more comfortable, and I know Barbara does as well, so you come in from underneath. So rather than go in from the top like that, okay, come in from the bottom with your thumb and your forefinger. And imagine you're playing like the recorder. That's the way I try and describe it. And you get balance. I mean, Barbara's left-handed, so she would hold them this way. See, it doesn't matter if you're left-handed or right-handed. They all work the same. And then I can't remember whether Barb goes spoon with the curve up or down. But again, it's down to preference. You need to find what sits better for you, whether you come in from underneath, whether you come in from the top, whether you do it flat on a flat surface, whether you hold it in your hand. Barb still prefers to hold it in her hand while she's working. Me, I'm using the 12 by 12 super foam. So I prefer to work on the flat. Now, where's that scrap piece of work? Okay. So when I'm working, I work in the fork position, so I call it, with the point going downwards. And I come in from underneath. My hand, because I'm working with the 12 by 12, my hand is resting on the black mat. Glass is required for this. Okay, a quick sip of coffee. Whew. Okay. So, fingers from underneath. And it's always, Linda says the same, never go in cold to do your picot cutting or your shadow embossing. And what I'm doing now is I'm going in. I go for, I can't remember now. I go, ignore what I just said. I go curve up, so I go in the spoon position. So if I come in, where am I going? Over here. Woo. Sorry, hope it didn't make me feel giddy. And what I'm doing, I'm using this hand to rest the scissors on. And I'm going in and then squeeze and snip. I tilt slightly to my left. Some people tilt, some people don't. And it's just a case of you squeeze it until it comes to a point and then you give it that final snip. Okay, so that's with the ring lock. So let me do a little, where's that pen gone? So let's see what works best for me today. So that's ring lock. Now I'm going to go with my perga cutters. Let's hope the ink doesn't. No, I'm tilting too much on that. So I can see it as I sort of over squeeze. Okay, that's better. So I'm glad I didn't go direct into my work. So then this is P for perga. And then I'll do the exclusive. So again, I'm going spoon position. I'll move that over a little bit. And then, so if you've got any of the scissors and you're still unsure, then practice. Really, that's how I learn. it was a straight line. A straight line is less forgiving. It really is. Because your eye will automatically be drawn to any imperfections. So, I know what I should have done. I'll put the marking. So this is exclusive. This is poker cutters, and this is ring lock. That's better because I'm about to throw away the waste. So, okay, don't shout at me. I'm using the scissors as scissors. Ooh. Okay. Not so good. Not so good. Okay, I'm going to bring this in really close. So let's have a look. From the overhead, it looks okay. From a distance, don't put your glasses on. Definitely don't put your glasses. Now this, so if you think that, okay, your picot cutting's rough or it needs more work, mine does. I need warming up more, and I need to stick to one pair of scissors. I need to stick to the ring lock. Okay, but if I only had the poker cutters to hand, I would persevere with the poker cutters. So now let's hold this up. Let's get this in place. So you can see the ring lock for me is definitely better than the poker cutters. The poker cutters look as if I've chewed. The exclusive, because they weren't comfortable in my hand, are not so good. But I know that if I'd carried on with the ring lock, that would have improved as I went along. Okay. So I've just jumped from 3 different sets of scissors just to show how they work. But for me, I would definitely be sticking with one pair of scissors. Don't chop and change if you've got all of them in between you warming up, unless do separate rows. So warm up and do a whole row with your poker cutters. Warm up and do a whole row with your ring lock. The same with the exclusive. Warming up is really key to it. Okay. So next week, we're going to be picot cutting our frame that we've created. And as with all of our grids that we supply, Josie very kindly provides a cutting guide for us as well. Now, we're not going to cut the outside because we don't need to, because we've used a solid frame around the outside. But what we are going to do is just create the picot cut these inner parts. Really, really easy. Easier than doing a straight line, honestly. More forgiving, and we will definitely get all this cut out next week. Okay. So I hope you've picked up something from today. I hope you've enjoyed it. Don't forget, you can watch this back anytime. It's all free of charge. Thank you to Stuart for being in the room and popping up the links. Thank you to the lovely Linda Williams for confirming I can use a white pencil for white work. Jane, Glynis, I don't know whether Josie made it in the end or not. All the fantastic design team, they are just full of knowledge, and it's all free. So don't forget, I'm on Create and Craft on Thursday with the Pokemano show at 11 and 3. So if you want to go back to a little bit more basics, then join me then. There's no more Shack this week. Barb will be back with you on Monday at 10 o'clock. And I will be back in the room with Barbara on Monday as well. And then we'll get down to our picot cutting on Tuesday. So enjoy the rest of the week, whatever you're up to. Thank you for joining me. And I will see you again next week. Take care now. Bye-bye.